Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts. And today we have an episode all about vitamin K. Some people have noticed that I'm not great at self-marketing, and I kind of try not to push things too hard, but I wanted to go over. We do make a vitamin K product now, and there's reasons why we did what we did in it. And I wanted to go over how vitamin K relates to vitamin A. Some of you may have seen my past video on that. I wanted to recover that, and I wanted to go over some of the other stuff about why we do it the way we do it, and why you might want to do it, take it, and why you might not. So we're going to get into that early today. Let me pull up Joe's Telegram and pull up the chat so I can see it. So hello, everyone in the chat. Nice to have you here. Before anybody asks, some of you may have noticed, so I've been working on hair restoration through various methods. I'm working on a program for this. And some of you may notice, if you see from my old live streams, you can see it's coming in kind of in this pattern right here. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. I used to always, cut my hair with my own clippers at home, because it's, you buy a $50 set of clippers and you can cut your hair forever for free, basically. And now I'm actually going to a barber, and it's kind of cool. So I don't do much, self-care like that, where I actually have other people do it. So it's kind of cool to go do it again. And yeah, so it's working. And the cool thing about with what we're doing in terms of hair regrowth is the stuff that we are doing will stick. It will not fade away when you stop taking the hair meds, or like even has been figured out with hair implants or plugs or all that stuff. Those actually eventually the follicle shrinks and dies, because the problem is in blood flow and in nutrition and in all sorts of things. So, yeah. So let's get into it now. I just wanted to get that out of the way before we started. So it's kind of exciting. I'm not really doing this because I cared that much about it. It was because, I don't know, people out there like in the peating world and all that stuff, they obsess about hair regrowth. And I just decided to do it because it was another thing to do, another thing to conquer. So anyway, so first we're going to get into vitamin K. So Joe, if you want to show that link, there's the link to the references. I need to share my screen. Sorry, I haven't done that yet. Let's go here. Okay. So anyway, Joe linked the references, the links that we're going to go over in the chat. And what Joe always does at the end, if I ever forget to move it, he posts the link in the comments, and then I try to pin it up to the top, so it'll always be there. But it'll be there on. It'll be there. So here's the first link. So I just wanted to go over, for those of you who want to look, let me open up this. And so our vitamin K, just going to hit on it real quick. Our vitamin K, I used to use MK7 with people, or a mixed vitamin K with K1, MK4, and MK7. I do not use MK7 anymore. You'll see why if you haven't seen it already in my previous episodes. MK7 inhibits detox, and we don't want to use that. So we use K1 and MK4. So if you're saying vitamin K2, you need to understand that there's huge differences between MK4 and MK7. When you look at supplements that are 90 micrograms or 100 micrograms of MK7, and you see that MK4 is in the thousands of micrograms or in milligram doses, these are different forms. They work differently. Don't try to compare apples to oranges in terms of the dosing, first of all. So just wanted to go over that. We have that available should you want to do it. We also, for those of you who are in the Love Your Liver program, in the VIP store, we do have liquid Thorn K2 drops, which are MK4 also. I've been using those a long time, and we'll go over how to apply them in different ways and what the symptoms and signs. Actually, let's just do that first. The signs and symptoms that I typically use for someone who would want to try vitamin K supplements, whether it's our pill or whether it's the liquid. Okay. Whenever there are excessive bleeding problems, stuff like if you get a nosebleed or you get a cut and you feel like it takes way too long to stop bleeding, that's a big one. If you are an easy bruiser, like if you bruise, the one of the easiest ways I talk about this is if you get bruises and you don't know how you got it, that's easy bruising. Like, I mean, it could happen once in a while where you bang yourself and you just forget. But if you're one of those types, maybe you're a little clumsy or anything like that, but you bruise and you don't know where it came from, and you have this happen a lot, that's easy bruising. And the other ones, people who are worse than that, where they're just bruising from touching hardly everything, that's easy bruising. Then we have bleeding from the gums. If you very easily bleed from the gums, that can be an issue. Now, I'm not talking about, like, let's say you don't floss on a regular basis, and then you go and you floss your teeth and you bleed from that. If that happens like once or twice when you're getting back into regular flossing, I'm not worried about that. But if like toothbrushing causes you gum bleeding, or if you're constantly bleeding from your gums when you are regularly flossing, that's something that could be an issue. And then if you combine any of those multiple bleeding things, do you have to have all of them? No. But if you have one of them that's significant, that can be an issue. So then we get to bone stuff. So sensitive teeth. If you have sensitive teeth, generally that can be an indicator of vitamin K deficiency. Vitamin K is very necessary for sending calcium to the right places. Well, what does vitamin K do as a general thing? Think of it as it sends calcium to the right places and helps pull it out of the wrong places. Your teeth are basically extensions of your bones. They're some of the only bones you can feel. So if you have sensitive teeth, this can be an indicator. If somebody had active osteoporosis or osteopenia, vitamin K is probably going to be a good thing there. I'm trying to think. I thought I had one more. No, I think that might be it. If anybody remembers the other symptoms that I go over, that's 5 symptoms. I think I had 5. Those were the big ones. So, so if you had those, I might have somebody try whether it's 1 pill a day of my vitamin K or 5 drops of the Thorne K2 MK4. Thorne makes a K2 and D3 supplement you don't want. We do not take rat poison D3 with our K2 around here or our vitamin K at all. Leave the rat poison to the dead rats, and we use vitamin K by itself. And then if you want to improve your vitamin D status, you're going to get sunlight or ultraviolet B, and you're going to get your magnesium, and you're going to get your zinc, and you're going to get your adequate protein. Those 4 things, think about it. Those 4 things will generally help you be healthy. Enough protein, enough zinc, enough magnesium, and real actual sunlight or UVA and UVB if you live somewhere where you don't have it. Okay? You don't take D3, which is used as rat poison. I don't care if you take K2 and magnesium with it. Don't take the rat poison. You don't need it. So let me get into moving into with the vitamin K. Yeah, you can just take the 1 pill a day. Should you take it with food? Yes, it is a what they call fat soluble vitamin. Now, there's stuff that's weird about vitamin K. First of all, it's not an alcohol or an aldehyde like D, like A, and like E. So they group it all together and they say it's fat soluble, and it is, except if anybody wants to go and search, I've done this. Go and try to find how much vitamin K is actually stored in the body, in the liver, in the body fat. Go and try to find it. You'll find lots of studies talking about how short the half-life of K1 is, and how short the half-life of MK4 is, and how long the half-life of MK7 is. And they say that vitamin K is fat soluble and accumulates And yet I can find evidence of accumulation of A and of D and of E, but I can't find it. Maybe it's out there. I couldn't find evidence of an actual hepatic accumulation of vitamin K. So if you find it, I want to know about it. If you're one of the types who likes, you're like a helper type and you want to look for that stuff and try to send it to me, I appreciate that. And if that floats your boat and makes your day, then I would really appreciate that. I just can't find it. They say it does, but vitamin K is different. So don't look at it and go, fat soluble vitamins are all bad. Dr. Smith said so. No, we use vitamin K. Vitamin K can help. Do we use it in everybody? No. So the thing about the pill is just you take a pill. Is it best to take it with food? Yes, because you absorb fat soluble things with foods that contain fat, some fat, better than without. Okay. We're trying to improve the food. With the supplements we take, we're trying to improve the food, basically. We're not trying to take it on an empty stomach, which is a drug-like effect that people are after. That's why people do herbs on an empty stomach, or they do certain medications on an empty stomach. They want a drug-like effect. We're not after that. We're after improving the food. Okay. So then, the Thorne drops. Now, the cool thing about the Thorne drops, well, they're a drop. If I get to the point where I can do my own liquid K2, I will. I haven't gotten there yet. They want a huge order, like a huge order first time. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that many bottles on a first order quite yet. So anyway, the drops from Thorne, MK4, just the vitamin K2 drops from Thorne. The cool thing about them, the typical dose I start people with is, if they're doing it, 5 drops a day. Can you start with less? Sure. If you're a sensitive type, start with less. Start with 1. See how that goes. The cool thing about the drops is you can rub them on your teeth if you have sensitive teeth. So just rub them on and just leave it there. So like maybe after you brush, rub it on, let it sit there as long as it's going to stay there, right? It's in your mouth, so it's going to wash. It's going to rinse off eventually, but it can help very quickly. You could rub it on bleeding gums, where your gums tend to bleed. You don't have to do it while they're bleeding. Wait until, they're not bleeding and apply it there. You could apply the liquid drops to bruising. That can help bruises to actually go away faster. If you knew you had osteoporosis or osteopenia in specific joints, you could apply it over those joints. See, so you can focus things there. Now somebody will say, can I use the magnesium lotion and mix it with the vitamin K2 drops? Sure, absolutely. They're both fatty. So yeah, you could do that. And it may help the absorption. Anyway, and so it would still be, you could do 2 drops on your teeth and 1 drop on your bruise and take 2 more orally. Whatever you want to do with it, it's just 5 drops a day. We just assume that the topical application works just as well as the oral application because we have no evidence to go on otherwise. So, let's see. Where were we going next? Okay, so we're going to get into some of the vitamin K basics. Going to try to hit on these quick because people are going to go, well, what does vitamin K do? And I don't really like doing the basics, but I'm going to hit on it anyway because, well, I want to give people my basics and not everybody else's basics because people will really get into the weeds with vitamin K. You don't need to. Oh, one last thing I forgot to add about supplementing vitamin K. This is really, really important that you cannot use vitamin K's responses, your self-responses to it, as quickly as you can other things. One other symptom on vitamin K that can be something that people can use. So let's say if you have, I don't give vitamin K for insomnia. Okay. Some people report that taking vitamin K helps with their insomnia. Okay. So if you had some of those other vitamin K deficiency symptoms and you had insomnia, it might help your insomnia. And you could use that as an evaluation of, is it good for you? Is it necessary for you? Okay. But we don't just, if you're like, I have insomnia, I'm going to try vitamin K first. No, it's not a first try thing. Okay. So then the last thing would be, if you're going to try vitamin K, you need to give it a solid month. to see the improvements, whether that's the bruising, whether that's the teeth sensitivity, whether, I mean, if I don't know if you're measuring osteoporosis scans every month, I don't think you are, but vitamin K being fat soluble, it takes a while to kind of build up to do its work. So if you're going to take it and you want to know if it does anything, if you have some of those specific symptoms, give it a month, as long as there's nothing negative happening. Okay, now I want to go into what else can happen. Rarely, very, very rarely, okay? I'm saying this very rarely because I want people to be informed, but I'm telling you, this is not something you look for. It's something you're aware of. And if it happens, then you do what I'm about to say. Very rarely, some people will get more sensitive teeth from vitamin K, or they might even get insomnia. Okay. These tend to come on pretty quickly, like within a day to a week. So if you start vitamin, we're not just here saying vitamin K is good for everybody. This is a really rare thing that happens in some people, but I want it out there. So if you get like more sensitive teeth or insomnia from vitamin K, stop it or lower your dose. It's very simple. Don't take something that is causing you problems. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. And then if they say, well, why is it doing this? I don't know. I don't know. Why is this guy hitting me? I don't know. Do you want him to keep hitting you? No. Well, then go away from him, right? This should be like, don't just hear things on the internet and go, oh, like let's say somebody had osteoporosis and they hear this and they go, oh, well, I'm going to try vitamin K because I've got osteoporosis, and they take it and they notice more teeth sensitivity. Stop the vitamin K. I don't care about the osteoporosis thing. You're having bad signs. Okay. These are rare things, but I want people to know about them. One of the things people compliment me on is I tell people all the things that could happen. So first, what does vitamin K do in your body? Vitamin K is a group of fat-soluble vitamins, so I want to expand on that. When they talk about a group of fat-soluble vitamins, there's K1, there's multiple K2s. We mainly talk about MK4 and we talk about MK7. But you realize that we're saying MK4 and MK7, and there's probably a 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9. So that's it. That's why there's multiple ones. So that's why it's a family. Okay. Broadly, the big picture, they direct calcium. So like I said, they put calcium where it's supposed to go, and they help pull it out of where it's not supposed to be and allow the blood to clot. This is a very important thing. Taking vitamin K does not make you clot. Okay. When he said the wording here is actually really good that he used. It allows the blood to clot. It is necessary for the blood to clot. Like you need to have gas in your car to drive it. Does having gas in your gas tank make your car go forward? No. Just putting gas in the car doesn't make your car go. It gives it the ability to go. You understand? Now, if you go and take warfarin, which we're going to go over, and warfarin inhibits vitamin K2 function, it is called a vitamin K antagonist, that will reduce your ability to clot entirely. And then, as we'll see, it can increase the risk of brain hemorrhages and other things. You would die from trauma more easily. Kind of like the people taking tons of aspirin, and then when they get into a traumatic situation, they're like, oops, I'm bleeding out. Don't do that. Okay. So, vitamin K2 has benefits for dental, periodontal, that's gums, heart, hormonal, kidney, and bone, and brain health. Okay. So let me just answer this real quick. Anna P said, have you looked into vitamin K given to newborns? Thoughts? In Europe, there is a 12-week supplement protocol instead of the shot given in the US. My children did not get that vitamin injection at birth. I made sure of it. There are all sorts of things other than the vitamin in that shot. All sorts. I mean, it's a pharmaceutical product. So there's all sorts of things. That's the way they make things, right? What I did So whether anybody else chooses to do this or not, this is not medical advice. This is what I did. We had the Thorne vitamin K2 drops. And I had my now ex-wife at the time of the children when they were born, I had her put a drop on her nipple before the child nursed for a week. I did one drop on the nipple a day for a week. That's it. Now, when you start to learn about how vitamin A depletes vitamin K, and if you know you have a mother who is quite vitamin A toxic, somebody could go for a little longer with that if they chose to, but I don't do anything major. I don't necessarily believe that human breast milk is low in vitamin K for any, like there may be a reason why there's not a lot of vitamin K in breast milk. And do I think that children who are dying of hemorrhaging soon after being born, they have a toxicity problem? And then the mother probably has a toxicity problem. The vitamin A is coming out in the milk in the Rodal study when they basically poisoned the nursing mother mouse with vitamin A. And she was so toxic in it, and so much of it came out in the milk that it actually killed one of her mouse babies. Okay. So when we think about it, when I go over how there's a vitamin A toxicity epidemic, a literal epidemic, well, that's going to be coming out in the milk. And then they're trying to say, well, we got to give vitamin K injections to protect the kid. Well, vitamin A depletes vitamin K. So is this becoming a bigger thing as we go? Yes, there's more jaundice in babies that are being born. There's probably more hemorrhaging. That's what I did. There was nothing injected in my children at the hospital when my daughter, we had to go to the hospital for my daughter, and there was nothing done on my son who was born at home in terms of pokies. We did do the liquid vitamin K. Okay. So now let's moving on. Let's go. So we're just going to go over some more basics. Let's see if we can get this to load. This is just a book. This is the oh, get out of here. Oh well, my highlighting didn't survive. Get out of here. Oh my goodness. Not going to share any Amazon pictures anymore. This is just the description of a book, and I thought it was kind of very well talking. It talked about things quite well. Okay. While millions of people take calcium and vitamin D supplements, don't take vitamin D, thinking they're helping their bones, the truth is without the addition of vitamin K2, such a health regimen could prove dangerous. Well, what if you just took vitamin K2 and didn't take the things that made it dangerous? What a shock. Without vitamin K2, the body cannot direct calcium to the bones where it's needed. Instead, the calcium resides in soft tissues like the arteries. Gosh, we never talked about this, do we? It's called metastatic calcification. Calcium is going where it's not supposed to be, and it's being pulled out of the places it is supposed to be. It's called calcium dysregulation, leading to a combination of osteoporosis, that's the weak bones lacking calcium, the calcium is being stripped out of them, and atherosclerosis, that is the calcification of the arteries, or the dreaded calcium paradox, calcium dysregulation. This is the first book to reveal how universally vitamin K2 deficiency is. Vitamin A toxicity is an epidemic. Vitamin A depletes vitamin K. And the risk is in the form of cancer and diabetes, among other ailments. The risk in the form of cancer and diabetes, among other ailments, the absence of vitamin K2 poses. So, illustrating the enormous health benefits of vitamin K2 in making the body less susceptible to dental cavities, the bones of the mouth, heart disease, calcification, prostate cancer, vitamin A toxicity, liver cancer, diabetes. We had a whole episode on diabetes, wrinkles, obesity, varicose veins, and other ailments. The book demystifies this obscure supernutrient, a fat-soluble vitamin that humans once thrived on, ignored by scientists for almost 70 years. details how the consumption of grass-fed animals led to adequate vitamin K2 intake, while grain-based animal feed helped eradicate vitamin K2 from our diets. There's something she's ignoring here, and I'll cover it. I've already covered it before. Describes how doctors are raising recommended doses of calcium and vitamin D without prescribing vitamin K2. Details more damning facts about trans fats. Don't eat trans fats. Jiminy Christmas. And how the creation of a synthetic vitamin K interfered with the body's vitamin K metabolism. Don't ever take vitamin K3. Very simple. People go, vitamin K3? I've never heard of it. That's because it's basically a pharmaceutical. Don't ever take it. Okay? Oh, should I have made that a little bigger, Joe? Sorry about that. So, when they're saying the consumption of grass-fed animals led to adequate vitamin K2 intake, first, a lot of the foods that have a lot of vitamin K in them, folks, also have a lot of vitamin A in them, like dairy. Why would nature have something that protects against vitamin K2, which sends calcium where it's supposed to go and helps take it out of where it's not supposed to be, with things that have stuff like, vitamin D3 rat poison in them and vitamin A in them, which both yank calcium out of your bones and put it into the soft tissues? What if you just didn't take the rat poison and avoided the rat poison in foods and minimized it and didn't get vitamin A toxic, and then took vitamin K if you needed it? It's really not that hard. So those are some of the things that it's related to. Okay. Now, we're just going to hit on some other things. We're still in the basics section. Make this, nope, that's pretty big. The role of vitamin K status in cardiovascular health. Evidence from observational and clinical studies. We're just trying to hit some basics. Oh, there we go. Overall, observational studies indicate that low vitamin K status, so they measure vitamin K often by other tests, as measured by high dephosphorylated uncarboxylated matrix GLA protein concentrations, say that like 5 times fast, plays a potential role in cardiovascular disease development, particularly in high risk and chronic kidney disease populations. Well, let's review. What did Grant have? Grant Genereux? Chronic kidney disease. What did he fix on a low vitamin A diet? Chronic kidney disease. Vitamin A depletes vitamin K, which I'm going to go over that research. So by avoiding vitamin A, your vitamin K status gets better, and we now have multiple people with lab proof of showing that they have fixed chronic kidney disease. So do you see how all this fits together? So the thing I want to say here, do you have to take vitamin K? No. Might it help your symptoms quicker? Yes. As you get less vitamin A toxic, will that reduce the need for vitamin K? Yes. The first thing we always do is we reduce the toxins coming in, because not only does that reduce your toxicity exposure, but it reduces the need for nutrients to counteract them. Okay? So, come on. There it goes. So this is just an important thing to know about. Do supplements raise your vitamin K levels? Well, circulating in the blood, vitamin K concentrations decrease during vitamin K1 depletion and increase with vitamin K1 supplementation. So supplementation actually works. An important limitation of the measurement of plasma vitamin K1 is that it mainly reflects the intake of the previous days due to its relatively short half-life time of 1 to 3 hours. This is what I was talking about before, where it's kind of confusing, because if we store this in the body fat, supposedly, why does the blood go down so fast? Why does it not act like vitamin A? It just doesn't act the same as the other fat soluble vitamins, because it's a totally different structure. It's a phyloquinone. It's not an alcohol and an aldehyde. So let's see. Was there anything else on this paper? Something else we talk about often. I'm clicking. Go away. There we go. Vascular calcification. This is calcification of the blood vessels. So when you think of atherosclerosis or like cardiovascular disease, Don't think of cholesterol. Like cholesterol is kind of like it just gets sucked into this. They measure how clogged up your arteries are by doing a coronary artery calcium score, CAC. They call it the calcium score. You want to pay attention to calcium. Don't worry about the cholesterol. That's easily fixed with our, the toxic bile paradigm fixes cholesterol problems without a problem. That's not an issue. The calcification, this is another issue. So vascular calcification, regardless of its anatomical site, is a strong risk factor for cardiovascular death. So where the calcium's collecting is not that important. What it means is that you have calcification going on in the entire system. Calcification in the vasculature, the blood vessels, leads to arterial stiffening. So it won't shrink and get bigger. The tubes, your blood vessels, they will not get bigger and shrink like they're supposed to. What do you think that would tend to cause? If they can't get bigger, they stay smaller. And then if your body's pumping more blood through them, the way it works is that if you pump more blood through a pipe that stays the same diameter, the pressure goes up. Okay, so if it can't expand to reduce the pressure, then it stays small and the pressure increases. Oh, what's the next thing? Elevated systolic blood pressure and increased cardiac workload. Because if you have to push the blood through smaller tubes, it's harder to do. There is currently no effective treatment available for vascular calcification, and treatment is targeted to relieve symptoms. Well, let me tell you how I would go about fixing calcification of the blood vessels. 1, we would reduce, minimize, eliminate vitamin A sources. 2, we would make sure that we were not taking rat poison D3. 3, I would make sure that we were getting our sunlight or UVA and UVB light, whether that's a Sperti, whether that's a tanning bed, whether that's whatever, within your tolerance levels as much as you're practical and able and you tolerate. Okay. Number 4 would be topical magnesium. You can see our magnesium lotion for this. Great product. I have a whole video on topical magnesium. Joe, if you can post that too, watch that. And then the 5th thing is fixing your zinc levels, correcting your zinc deficiency. And then the plus, so those are the things that we want to do for sure. Okay. I've had a guy, he had trigger finger from playing the guitar and doing stuff like that. That's a calcification of the tendon. We fixed that. It's gone. Like calcifications can go away. And I've shown a study on calcification and magnesium, I think in the magnesium video, where they decalcified things. This can be done. Magnesium is huge. Okay. So this can be fixed. Now the +1 on that, so I call it the 5+1 approach to fixing your magnesium and calcium. Well, the +1 is vitamin K if the symptoms dictate it and it's well tolerated and it's noticed to be helpful. So the 5, we avoid vitamin A, we get our light, we avoid vitamin D supplements, get our topical magnesium, correct zinc deficiency. Those are the 5 required ones. The +1, the optional one, is vitamin K. Okay. This can be fixed. Let's see. Was there anything else here? Oh, yes. Okay. A strong body of evidence from experimental animal models indicates that vitamin K is involved in vascular calcification through carboxylation of MGP. So they had a mouse model, an MGP knockout model. They took out MGP, the genetics for this, or they just poisoned them until it disappeared, or whatever they did. So an MGP knockout model of a mouse showed extensive calcification in coronary arteries, leading to aortic rupture and premature mortality. Remember, vitamin A toxicity, we have that showing in mice that it calcified the aortic valve. Further, vitamin K antagonism due to warfarin antagonizes vitamin K dependent carboxylation of MGP. So warfarin does the exact opposite of vitamin K. It's a vitamin K antagonist. It's also a rat poison. Hey, wouldn't it be weird if warfarin killed mice by causing them to bleed out because they don't have enough vitamin K because it's the vitamin K is not working correctly, and that the way that vitamin D as rat poison kills rats and mice is by causing them massive internal bleeding or hemorrhaging as well. They both kill the mice and the rats by causing them to bleed out internally. We don't want either of them. Okay. So then whenever you see warfarin doing something, like warfarin causes osteoporosis, we have the research. It's not very hard to find. Go look up warfarin and osteoporosis. I don't think I got any today for this. And then go look at vitamin K and osteoporosis, which we'll hit on some of that today. Vitamin K helps it. Warfarin causes it. So whenever you see warfarin causing, vitamin K can help. What do we have here? In addition, a high vitamin K diet is able to reverse aortic calcification after warfarin treatment in rats. Remember, I just showed you that, I just told you, and I've been over this paper before, vitamin A toxicity causes aortic calcification. Warfarin treatment causes aortic calcification. They both deplete vitamin K. What a weird coincidence. Again, they're trying to antidote the poisoning. Let's keep going. Growing evidence of a proven mechanism shows vitamin K2 can impact health conditions beyond bone and cardiovascular. I wanted to hit on this real quick. I think there's only... Oh, yeah, I wanted to hit on the MK4 thing here. Oh, there we go. There was the little arrows. I finally saw them. Okay. Vitamin K, a fat-soluble nutrient, was historically discovered in 1935 for its role in blood coagulation, and as such has been thoroughly explored. In recent years, study highlighted vitamin K2 involvement in brain cells development and survival. This is one thing that everybody goes, when I say vitamin K, they always go, oh, you mean K2? And I'm like, no, I mean vitamin K as a whole, because there's K1 and there's K2 and there's multiple K2s. So we're going to be a little more specific than just K2. Anyway, in recent years, studies highlighted vitamin K2 involvement in brain cells development and survival. Which K2 is in the brain? In the brain, vitamin K occurs predominantly as MK4. Vitamin K2 has been involved in functions such as cell survival. That's important. Chemotaxis, that's moving around. Mitogenesis, cell growth, and myelination, mediated by the activation of vitamin K-dependent proteins, growth arrests specific gene 6, and protein S. So let's see. Was there anything else in here? Nope. That was it on that one. I just saw those little arrows, Joe. I know how to make it go away now. That's great. So while we're here now, normally I may do another show on this where I go through the top 10 causes of death in the US and link vitamin K deficiency or vitamin K related issues to it, as I've done with like lactoferrin, and I've done with magnesium, and I've done with potassium. I might do that. That'll probably be a part 2 if I do a part 2. I'm not sure I'm going to do a part 2 because I think I'm going to cover it enough today. Anyway, vitamin K contribution to DNA damage, advantage or disadvantage, a human health response. Now, do you remember how I told you there's like a rare time where we don't have people take vitamin K if they don't feel good on it? Like, wouldn't this be individualized medicine? It's not just we put everybody on vitamin K and we don't listen to them and they're just like, I don't feel good on this. And then, you ever have MDs who are like, person says, doc, you gave me this drug, I don't feel good. And the doctor goes, just keep taking it. You'll feel better eventually, which is a crock. So we don't do that. We would say, oh, you tried this? You don't feel good on it? Okay. Maybe it's not good for you. Maybe you're just not ready for it yet. Maybe you don't need it. So let's head into this one real quick. However, recent epidemiological studies suggest that vitamin K has various benefits that go beyond blood coagulation processes. A dietary intake of K1 is inversely associated with the risk of pancreatic cancer. More K1, less pancreatic cancer. K2 has the potential to induce a differentiation in leukemia cells or apoptosis. of various types of cancer cells, and K3 has a documented anti-cancer effect. Now, I've seen mixed stuff in the literature. They're saying sometimes K3 can be naturally occurring, and then I've seen other sources say that K3 is like always synthetic. I'm not worried about K3. It's not something that you want to worry about. Don't supplement it. Okay. Again, pay attention here. MK4 is unique among menaquinones, the vitamin K family, as it is a product of metabolic conversion from phyloquinone, which is K1, in various tissues in the intestinal mucosa, brain, kidneys, and pancreas. Why do I like MK4 better? Because your body converts K1 into it. So we can do K1 as the raw material, let your body convert it, and then we can also give some MK4 and then your body can use it. I don't like MK7 because it's made by fermenting things. I don't want fermentation byproducts. Okay. Rotting things, I'm not really interested in them. Leave that to the high meat people and the dogs, the scavengers. While a good diet and healthy intestines can guarantee a sufficient supply of vitamin K, sadly, the Western diet, characterized by excessive consumption of what? Vitamin A, high energy refined food, nutrient deficiency, with low levels of vegetables and fruit. That's not where we're trying to get it from. And significant levels of antibiotics in meat and other food products can lead to subclinical vitamin K deficiency. Those of you who understand toxic bile paradigm understand what antibiotics do. Antibiotics change your gut biome. Your gut biome changes your bile into something potentially better or worse. Probiotics can change your gut biome into something potentially better or worse. Some people, they take an antibiotic and they're like, oh my gosh, this health condition cleared up forever. I don't even understand what happened. Or some people take a probiotic, and you can read the Amazon reviews. They just read the 1-star reviews on probiotics, and people will be like, this thing gave me IBS or colitis and I can't get rid of it. So you need to understand that, does the gut biome, like they say, health starts in the gut, the old saying, right? Well, your bile is born basically into your gut. That is what changes your gut biome. And then your gut biome changes the bile, which is then 95% of it or more or less, if you're binding it like we do, goes back to the liver. So you can be making your bile less toxic with your gut biome, or you can be making your bile more toxic with your gut biome. And then if your gut biome's not working right, you're not going to detox vitamin A right. And then if you're not detoxing vitamin A right, you're going to get a vitamin K deficiency because it's going to reduce your vitamin K, which we're going to go into soon. Yeah. You'll just see how this keeps going on. But all the vitamin K deficiency is caused by toxicities and deficiencies. Okay. Next things. We kind of talked about this right just now, but we're going to go over it again. Vitamin K deficiency can occur due to various factors such as insufficient consumption of vitamin K-rich foods. I don't think that's as big a problem as people think, including leafy greens and fermented products. Well, we don't do those, which can be a primary cause. Certain medical conditions that affect fat absorption, such as celiac disease. Well, we have people saying that they have fixed their celiac disease. Or inflammatory bowel diseases. Yes, we've had people tell us that they have fixed those. Can impede vitamin K absorption. Well, we have a whole episode here on SIBO and leaky gut about how it's all related to toxic bile. And it's eating holes in your gut. Would that be an inflammatory bowel disease? Yes. So again, anything you ever hear about your gut lining and your absorption and all that stuff, you want to think of, it's a toxic bile problem for sure. Furthermore, prolonged use of antibiotics can disrupt the gut bacteria responsible for synthesizing vitamin K. So you can make some. Again, what we see, I want you to pay attention to this. People who have done the Love Your Liver program long enough, who used to take vitamin K, find over time that they don't need to take vitamin K anymore. Okay, so how many people would you see out there, people who make and sell supplements, would tell you that if you do the right things in this diet, you eventually won't need to buy the supplement, right? You won't hear that out there very much. You're hearing me say it. If you do the right things, you will get plenty of vitamin K from your food, and your tissues will convert it well, and your gut biome will synthesize it properly, and everything will be fine. And then you can cut one more supplement out of your routine. Who out there is trying to get people so well that they don't have to take their supplements anymore? Like, that's what I'm doing. I love when people call me a grifter. I'm like, yo, I have no idea what a grifter is. Medications that can interfere with vitamin K metabolism, such as warfarin, like blood thinners, can also contribute to deficiency. Gosh, you think? Understanding these diverse underlying factors is essential for effectively preventing and managing vitamin K deficiency. Pay attention now. What is VKDB? Vitamin K deficiency bleeding in newborns. Let's just highlight that while we're there. Vitamin K deficiency bleeding in newborns has several etiologies or causes, including maternal medication usage during pregnancy. Okay, so they're slowing detox, or they're taking antibiotics, or they're doing all sorts of stuff that's screwing up their liver, which then makes the baby more what? Toxic. It means the mother detoxes slower. It means the mother leaks more bile into her system. It means the baby can be born with jaundice, which means they were leaking bile into their system. And low vitamin K levels at birth or exclusive breastfeeding. Here's the question. Do you guys think that human mothers were so poorly designed that in a proper situation, the baby would ever be vitamin K deficient? No. Do we have a vitamin A toxicity epidemic? Yes. Do mothers put vitamin A into their breast milk? Yes. Could excess vitamin A going into the baby cause them to become depleted in vitamin K? Yes. Now, breast is always best. If anyone out there ever says I advocate against nursing, like, nursing is highest priority. If people needed to, let's say a mom knew she was really toxic, or the baby was starting to show like easy bruising and bleeding stuff, what could the mother do? The mother could take more vitamin K. The mother could also do it on her nipple, like I mentioned earlier. We are trying to mitigate or antidote the poisoning that's happening, not put the kid on formula. So, but the ladies, you must know, ladies, and the men who love them, ladies, you detox into your breast milk. You are dumping toxins into your breast milk. Breast milk does not come out like pristine and pure, and so your baby's got a clean slate. No. As I've talked about before, like that, the sins of the father are visited upon the son kind of thing. Okay, the mother's toxicity goes into her milk. Fat-soluble toxins go into the fatty milk. So, first, you just have to accept this and then take responsibility and personal accountability for the fact that your baby, while the baby's in you, is going to be exposed to your toxicities and your deficiencies. And then after the baby's born, baby's going to be nursing on your breast milk that has your toxicities and your deficiencies. So what you want to do, hopefully before you get pregnant or before you have other children, is to try to work on your toxicities and deficiencies. And what we see with ladies who do this right, and their husbands, the children after they start doing this are healthier than the kids who came before them. And the mom's pregnancy is easier, and their milk production is better. Seen it all before. Okay. Vitamin K deficiency, we're talking about symptoms here, may manifest as bleeding at venipuncture sites. So if somebody was getting stuck, for blood draw or like a blood donation or whatever, they're bleeding longer or more than they should, or after minor trauma. Well, imagine if somebody has vitamin K deficiency and they get into major trauma. Patients may also administer antibiotics, anticonvulsants, warfarin, or other prescription medications that interfere with vitamin K metabolism. Well, I don't know that patients are taking them. The doctors kind of administer them, don't they? Physical examination often reveals the presence of ecchymoses or petechiae. You can look those up if you want. Easiest way to tell is the bruising. Bruises where you don't know where they come from is the quickest way to know. In vitamin K deficiency, bleeding disorder in newborns, neonates exhibit bleeding and ecchymoses. Again, so these easy gum, like gum bleeding, when you bleed longer than you think you should, or the easy bruising. These are signs. So do you want to just take vitamin K to fix it? Or do you want to stop the toxicity that's the root cause? And then you can do vitamin K to help the symptoms resolve quicker. Because nobody likes, those big bruises, and nobody wants sensitive teeth, so you can help with those. We're talking about helping with symptoms by antidoting the poisons. We already talked about how people can have rarely, they don't get along with vitamin K. Okay. What's the general consensus out there? This is the big paper from the NIH. No known adverse effects are associated with excessive dietary intake of vitamin K. So when people are eating tons of it in their food, there's no known obvious effects. Can people still have problems with it? Yes, I already said that. No reported toxicity is associated with elevated levels of vitamin K. But they already just talked about how short that is. So it's like the half-lives of these things are quite short. And I can't find evidence that it builds up in the tissues. So vitamin K science is not as good as we would like. Okay. Now, instead of me going over the research on all 10 conditions, all 10 of the major causes of death in the US and how vitamin K relates to them, I just decided to do Dr. Lin. Dr. Lin is a fan of Weston Price, so I'm not going to say to go read more on his site and do this stuff, because that's a disaster. We have lots of people who try to do kind of the Weston Price oriented teeth recovery stuff, and it failed miserably and left them less healthy. So he just presents some of the research here, and I decided to not have to put so much effort in. So vitamin K2 benefits that will improve your health. He has research links on these. It may help prevent wrinkles and reverse aging. Well, who doesn't like that, right? This is the paper. It is found that elastin is calcified due to lack of vitamin K2 activated matrix GLA protein. Okay. Vitamin K2 to help prevent varicose veins. There is this paper here. Calcification of veins, gosh, again, has been shown to be a contributor to varicose veins. So vitamin K2 may also prevent varicose veins. Remember, a varicose vein in your butt is a hemorrhoid. A varicose vein in your skin, a big one, and we call them varicose veins. Little ones in your skin are called spider veins. Okay. So how does a varicose vein begin? Wherever it is. So you have these. So imagine this is the blood vessel. You're looking at a side view of the blood vessel, and it's going back up towards your heart, let's say from your legs, right? Which is where varicose veins happen the most, because there's the most back pressure there. So imagine you got your blood vessel. It's going back. The blood flow is going back to your heart. So you have valves inside those blood vessels that are like this. So when your heart pumps, and I'm not going to get into the whole, is the heart a pump or whatever. When the pressure goes down and it's coming up through this valve, when the pressure pushes, it opens the valve. And then the valve, because of then the blood starts, so the blood pushes up, it goes through, and then the blood starts to fall due to gravity, right? That's the heartbeat, the thump, 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 okay? So it pushes through, the weight of the blood starts to fall due to gravity, and that snaps the valve shut, and then it would move up to the next valve, each pump, each heartbeat, okay? What happens, so imagine if things started to calcify. And when things start to calcify, they're either going to become more like a statue or they're going to become more brittle, more easily snapped. Well, a varicose vein is basically like the valve has broken over time. There's too much back pressure from the blood. Valve breaks, the blood vessel it just gets stagnant, and things start to swell. And then you start seeing the purplish, bluish color, or just the lumpy veins, okay? So, K2 would prevent the calcifications that would be causing. Remember how I talked about the stiffening of the blood vessels and we talked about the increased pressure in the blood vessels? That's how these things happen. Okay, vitamin K2 for blood sugar regulation and type 2 diabetes. It helps with diabetes. I have a whole episode on diabetes, whole live stream on diabetes and how it connects to all that we're doing. K2 to increase exercise performance, K2 and PCOS. Hey, I have a whole episode on PCOS and endometriosis. So again, vitamin A toxicity is playing a role in all of this stuff. And then there's other toxicities and deficiencies that are going on too. K2 for low testosterone and male fertility. Now this I'm going to go over in detail. There's a couple papers on this. You guys should be interested in this. K2 for preventing kidney stones. I've been over a study before on dogs where they showed that dogs who had higher serum retinol, blood vitamin A, had more kidney stones. Shocking, right? So vitamin K2 helps to take calcium out of where it's not supposed to be and put it back where it is supposed to be. Vitamin A depletes vitamin K, so does it make sense that vitamin K2 could help prevent kidney stones? Yes. It's just calcium in the wrong place. K2 to prevent cancer. One study on vitamin K2 indicated that it can reduce the risk of prostate cancer by 63%. In liver cancer, K2 supplementation has been shown to help reduce recurrence and delay progression. In liver cancer, wow. K2 in the brain, we already talked about MK4 being the form that's mostly in the brain and that is made by your own tissues. So that's that. Okay, so I didn't want to go through the top 10 diseases. I just decided to make that simple. I may go through the top 10 diseases at a later date, but I don't think that's going to really expand on what we're already doing. Okay, so now we're going to go into how vitamin A, just going to cover it. So you guys say, well, I don't know that vitamin A depletes vitamin K. Well, first of all, I have a whole episode on it. Like it's an old episode. And if you wanted to see me with my old hairstyle where I didn't have as much hair and you want to compare it to now, or you want to see how I looked back then versus now, I think that video's got to be like 5.5 to 6 years old. So some people like going back and looking at my old videos and then looking at today and they're going, well, you know, no matter how good looking or not you think I am, you can look at my old videos and compare them to now and see that I look a lot better now than I used to. So again, I have the whole video there. I'm going to hit these two papers. Mechanism of the effect of retinoic acid, which is the active form of vitamin A. This is really what they say you need when they say you need vitamin A. Well, you don't. You don't need retinoic acid at all. And squalene on vitamin K deficiency in the rat. Well, ladies, they use squalene a lot in cosmetic products. It's an indigestible oil. The anticoagulant effect of squalene and retinoic acid was studied in adult male rats fed purified diets deficient in vitamin K. Both squalene and retinoic acid appear to inhibit absorption of vitamin K, although possibly by different mechanisms. The requirement for vitamin K increased with a dietary increase of squalene. But maximal action of retinoic acid was easily obtained, and further ingestion of vitamin A did not affect prothrombin levels. So it didn't take very much retinoic acid to do the full effect that retinoic acid would do. Okay? On this basis, indigestible oils, as like squalene and retinoic acid, may be useful agents for the production of simple vitamin K deficiency in mammalian species. You're a mammal. You want a vitamin K deficiency? Oh, no? Well, maybe don't eat vitamin A. Sorry, I got an itch in my nose. So now I don't know if it was the same guys. Let's look. Machner and Amilati. Let's go look at the next paper. And I go into these papers much more in detail in that video. Machner, there he is, same guy. Effect of indigestible oils on vitamin K deficiency in the rat. Dietary squalene also interrupted. Oh, did I not? Oh, there it is, Joe. Thank you, Joe. So here's the title: Effect of indigestible oils on vitamin K deficiency in the rat. Dietary squalene also interrupted the assimilation of vitamin K in chicks, where 0.5% of dietary oil inhibited the utilization of 0.1 microgram of phyloquinone per gram of diet. Similar results were obtained in chicks fed retinol acetate, a retinol ester, and retinoic acid. So 2 forms of vitamin A cause the same effects. Inhibited vitamin K absorption and function. So let's keep going. Now we're going to hit on why do we not use MK7? And remember, the dosing of MK7 and MK4 and K1 is wildly different. I've had people contact me. Now I understand why they're doing this. They're contacting me saying, well, the vitamin K dose that I want to take is 90 micrograms, and your pill has like 4,000 micrograms of K2 in it. And I have to explain to them, they are not dosed the same at all. They are not the same molecule. We don't use one for a reason. And so he was trying to wonder how he was going to divide up the capsule into 90 micrograms. You don't have to do that. We are using the doses of K1 and MK4 that we are using are very normal doses. Okay. So what are we looking at here? So P-glycoprotein. I've been over this in some of the other episodes. I just wanted to hit on it quick. P-glycoprotein is your cell's detox mechanism. So like your cells, to get rid of poisons inside of them, they use P-glycoprotein. Very, very important. Now, one of the things that Kelsey brought to my attention when we, as we've talked over time, is that almost, and I've seen this pattern now, almost anything that inhibits P-glycoprotein also inhibits aldehyde dehydrogenase, which we talk about as the most important detox pathway in the body, in my opinion. Okay. So if it inhibits P-glycoprotein, the cellular detox, then it also inhibits ALDH, which is a major detox pathway for aldehydes. So this is all very important. Here's the paper. Inhibition of P-glycoprotein in CACO2 cells. These are typically regarded as, I believe, colon cancer cells. Okay, so this is an in vitro study. This is a Petri dish study. This is not in the whole body. But this is how they study P-glycoprotein. They can't study P-glycoprotein in whole animals or whole people. So this is the best we got. The effects of herbal remedies frequently used by cancer patients. Like I said, I went over this paper before, but I wanted to hit it again. The herbal products natto-K2. So nattokinase, K2 from nattokinase. If those of you who don't know what this means, it means it is MK7. Agaricus, mistletoe, noni juice, green tea, and garlic were investigated for in vitro inhibitory potential on P-glycoprotein-mediated transport of digoxin. Digoxin is the toxin. Digoxin is the toxin, right? And they're trying to see how fast P-glycoprotein can detox it from the cells. That's what they're studying. They're using a toxin that they can watch be removed from the cells or not in differentiated and polarized CACO2 cells. The most potent inhibitors of the net digoxin flush, the cell's ability to get rid of the toxin called digoxin, where mistletoe was the most, natto-K2 was the next, then agaricus, which is a mushroom, and then green tea. If you are taking nattokinase, there is MK7 in nattokinase. And nattokinase itself has been shown to be a PGP inhibitor. This study shows that mistletoe, natto-K2, agaricus, and green tea inhibit PGP in vitro, which also means it inhibits what? Aldehyde dehydrogenase. Special attention should be paid to mistletoe due to a very low IC50 and IC25 values, and to natto-K2 due to a low IC50 value and a low IC50 to 25 ratio. They're saying, all you need to know, they're saying, this is bad. This means it's stronger. So that's the P-glycoprotein. So we now have natto-K2 as MK7. K2 as MK7 inhibits your cellular detox, which also means it inhibits your aldehyde detox. Let's go find the next part. Oh, and I just wanted to give props to Tim. Tim Truth did a lot of this research. And this is where I got this study from. So I forgot how to find the study again. And so I looked it up. I looked up Tim Truth's Substack so I could find it again. So I just wanted to give him props for he's an amazing researcher. And then this is the one. Okay, so we don't want to take rat poison D3. I also do not suggest people try to eat it more in foods. We here assume that if chemists cannot tell the difference between a compound that is synthetic and a compound that is found naturally, that there is no difference in function. And for anybody to assume that there is a difference in function, you're going against basic chemistry. Okay? Like there can be different forms of poisons and they can act a little different. But when you're talking about the exact same form of poison that chemists cannot tell the difference between, they do the same thing. So we are not trying to eat D3 from sardines or D2 from mushrooms because it's natural. We're not trying to eat it. We're not trying to put it in our cake hole. So let's pay attention here. ABCB1, as in P-glycoprotein. So whenever you see this here, ABCB1, it means P-glycoprotein. Regulates vitamin D absorption and contributes to its transintestinal efflux. P-glycoprotein is a detox mechanism. Pay very close attention. It detoxes toxins. Why would it be affecting vitamin D if that were a good thing for us? Mice deficient for the 2-murine ABCB1, so they're homozygous. This means they have the strongest genetic negative setup for P-glycoprotein. Encoded by these genes, displayed an accumulation, a storage, a growing number of 25-hydroxy D3. This is what they measure at your doctor's office for your vitamin D levels in the plasma, intestine, brain, liver, and kidneys, together with an increased D3 post-meal after eating response after gavage compared with controls. This reduction of D3 transfer from plasma to the lumen inside the gut. So they're not moving vitamin D from the blood into the inside of the gut. Was further confirmed in vivo in actual animals in intestine perfused mice. So, if we're talking about, and many of you here realized that taking vitamin D3 was making you feel worse. And what does everybody say to take with your D3? They say to take K2, but they say MK7. So, is D3 and MK7, are they working together? Yes. Are they working together for good? Or are they possibly working together for bad? Well, we help people feel better by having them stop their D3 supplements daily. I used to use MK7. So any of you who are on MK7, if you want to finish up what you have, that's fine. I'm not worried about it, but don't buy it again. We don't sell it anymore. And I wouldn't use combo supplements with MK7 in it either. I wouldn't use, there are ones out there that I used to use that were K1, MK4, and MK7. I don't use those anymore. It's not the end of the world that you took it, because we're not taking vitamin D with it and other things like that. But, you know, we're constantly evolving this. But yeah, this is causing more D3 rat poison to accumulate in the blood, intestine, brain, liver, and kidneys. And it's not coming out into the gut so you could poop it out. Sure sounds like the body wants to detox this. And when they slow detox, we accumulate more of this. Thus, we showed here for the first time that P-glycoprotein is involved in neo-absorbed vitamin D efflux by the enterocytes. This is the gut cells. So this is newly absorbed vitamin D, the ability of cells and other tissues to get rid of vitamin D. So newly absorbed ability to get rid of it by the gut cells, and that it also contributes to vitamin D transintestinal excretion and likely impacts vitamin D status. If you want more rat poison, take your MK7. Okay. Oh, now we get to get into the fun stuff. Cholestasis. Are we going to get the highlighting? Come on now. Maybe I just forgot to highlight the title. Okay, so let me give you guys a quick explanation. What is toxic bile paradigm? Toxic bile paradigm is basically the idea that we are fixing cholestasis, whether it is subclinical or outright. The idea, you want to watch Livestream number 71 or 53 to start learning about toxic. I used to call it toxic bile theory. Now we're calling it toxic bile paradigm because we have become that confident in it. So cholestasis means that you are leaking toxic bile from various places into your bloodstream. Now, toxic bile would contain what? Toxins, including vitamin A. So think of when you see cholestatic liver disease and you're seeing vitamin K deficiency, and I'm talking about toxic bile, and toxic bile contains vitamin A, and we know vitamin A depletes vitamin K. You'll start to put this together. At least I hope. Let me see. Let me find. Oh, is this not working? Nice. Good. I need this out of here. Vitamin K is a ligand. It binds to the pregnane X receptor, PXR, which plays a critical role in the detoxification of xenobiotics, or foreign, not normally occurring in the body toxins, and the metabolism of bile acids. Well, that sounds important. Vitamin K1 may reduce the risk of death in patients with chronic liver failure. Vitamin K deficiency is associated with intrahepatic cholestasis. That's where you're leaking toxic bile directly out of the liver itself into the bloodstream, and is already being used as a drug for cholestasis-induced liver fibrosis in China. Well, gosh, why aren't we doing it here? In Japan, to treat osteoporosis in patients with primary biliary cholangitis, inflammation of the bile ducts, vitamin K2 formulations are prescribed along with vitamin D3. Well, they're making a mistake there. Animal studies have revealed that after bile duct ligation induced cholestasis, so they tie off the bile ducts, so they're going to back up and blow out. They're going to leak. Like, think if somebody, or if your toilet wasn't flushing and you kept flushing it, your liver's going to keep making bile and it's going to go down into the toilet. And then if you keep flushing the toilet, it's going to overflow. You understand? That's what we're talking about here. That's what they're doing with bile duct ligation. They're closing it off. So then eventually it's going to back up. Okay. Okay. Animal studies have revealed that after bile duct ligation-induced cholestasis, PXR knockout mice, so they don't have this receptor, manifested more liver damage than wild-type mice. Ligand-mediated activation of PXR, so things that bind to this receptor, improves biochemical parameters. So it helps. Vitamin K does this. This medication, rifampicin, is a well-known human PXR ligand. It binds to that receptor that has been used to treat intractable pruritus. That means like they couldn't get any better with anything else. Intractable itching in severe cholestasis. So it did something to stop it. In addition to its anti-cholestatic properties, or reducing the issues of toxic bile leakage, PXR has anti-fibrotic, cirrhosis is fibrosis, and anti-inflammatory effects. However, because of the scarcity of animal studies, the mechanism of the effect on vitamin K on cholestasis-related liver disease has not yet been revealed. Do they think they really want to figure it out? Let me see what else I had here. Oh, let's see if we can get this to work one more time. Nope. Guess I'm going to have to search. Okay. There. Oh, now it shows up. Nice. Okay. Vitamin K deficiency and cholestatic liver disease. Oh, so there's research on it already. The biological significance of vitamin K in the regulation of bile acid synthesis is unclear. However, vitamin K deficiency is commonly observed in cholestasis. Who's the guy out here talking the most about cholestasis and toxic bile paradigm? Me. What do I talk about also? Vitamin A toxicity. Vitamin A depletes what? Vitamin K. Is it all making sense? Got 5 references on that. Vitamin K deficiency is reportedly prevalent in children with mild to moderate chronic cholestatic liver disease, and it was demonstrated that vitamin K deficiency was significantly related to the level of cholestasis and severity of liver disease in children. Whereas children without cholestasis, or they couldn't find it, did not have a vitamin K deficiency, or it wasn't that bad. Stropel et al. Demonstrated that all cholestatic adults and children with elevated INR, that's a measure of your bleeding time, basically, were vitamin K deficient. This deficit was not even corrected by oral consumption of vitamin K because intestinal absorption is compromised in cholestasis. Well, let's also say something else here. The poison always wins. So if they are so toxic, they got all sorts of things going on. So taking some vitamin K orally may or may not fix it. The poison always wins. This is why you don't go, well, I want to eat vitamin A, Dr. Smith. How much vitamin K do I need to take to not have a problem? We don't do that here. Vitamin K deficiency was also associated with intrahepatic cholestasis during pregnancy. It has been said in the US that it is normal to have subclinical intrahepatic cholestasis during pregnancy. They now consider that normal. Vitamin A toxicity epidemic. Low levels of vitamin K may cause dysregulation of bile acid synthesis. This study also demonstrated that significantly lower plasma or blood vitamin K levels in bile duct ligation cholestasis rats than in those in sham-operated rats resulted in massive hemorrhaging in body cavities or organs, which was the direct cause of death. Lack of vitamin K causes bleeding. Oh, vitamin K supplementation in cholestasis and other hepatic diseases, liver diseases. In 1995, Beck et al. Reported that a weekly dose of 50 micrograms of vitamin K1 subcutaneously, so they injected it, improved the mortality rate of bile duct ligation cholestasis Sprague Dawley rats from 20 to 25% to 10%. So they gave them a once-a-week shot of vitamin K, and it cut the number of deaths basically in half. Zhao et al. Evaluated the effect of vitamin K1 on alleviating cholestasis-induced fibrosis at the histological and biochemical levels during the 28-day experiment. The results of this study indicated that the severity of lesions, fibrotic lesions, can be reduced by vitamin K1 treatment. The authors considered the potential role of the vitamin K1-mediated activation of PXR to protect mice from cholestasis because vitamin K can activate PXR, and PXR is reported to protect against cholestasis. Is there more? Oh, there we go. In neonatal, newborn cholestasis, which would be like jaundice, jaundice would be one obvious sign of this. Along with other nutritional supplements, oral vitamin K1 is recommended at a dose ranging from 2.5 milligrams twice a week and 5 milligrams a day as soon as vitamin K deficiency is observed. You need vitamin K to put calcium where it's supposed to go and keep it out of where it's not supposed to go. So calcium leaving where it's supposed to be is osteoporosis. We talk about how toxic bile paradigm and this cholestasis is the cause of all chronic disease. And I've shown before, vitamin A over a certain dose causes osteoporosis. Over 3,000 units a day was associated with higher rates of osteoporosis. Again, vitamin A depletes what? I'm not going to say it again. Furthermore, osteoporosis is commonly diagnosed in patients with, what are they saying is PBC here? I just want to make sure. Oh, primary biliary cirrhosis is what they're saying. So cirrhosis, fibrosis of the bile ducts. Gosh, why would osteoporosis and primary biliary cirrhosis, the liver problem that causes cholestasis, one of the liver problems that causes cholestasis, why would those be connected? Hopefully you're putting it all together. A recent retrospective cohort study showed that vitamin K1 may reduce the risk of death in Chinese patients with chronic liver failure. It has been reported that 20 to 40% of patients with cirrhosis, so fibrosis of the liver, have coagulation abnormalities and have an increased risk of bleeding and clotting because of the decreased synthetic capabilities of the cirrhotic liver. Therefore, vitamin K is routinely recommended to correct prolonged prothrombin time, that's another bleeding time measurement, in patients with cirrhosis. Supplementation of vitamin K in various ways has been reported for the treatment of liver diseases in humans since 1988. I bet you haven't heard of it. Are we going to hit this one? Yeah, why don't we hit this one too? In 2002, Shiomi et al. Evaluated the effects of MK4, not MK7, MK4 treatment in women with osteoporosis associated with liver cirrhosis. So they had, again, the two things connected. The patients had underlying hepatitis viral infections. Well, I have a whole episode on hepatitis too. Bone mineral density increased after 1 year of treatment with 45 milligrams a day of MK4 in capsule form. Now, that's a lot. Like that's like mega dosing vitamin K. So their bone mineral density increased when they took a huge amount of this, but returned to near the baseline level after 2 years of treatment. Let me be clear here. These ladies had liver cirrhosis and hepatitis. They are so toxic. Taking vitamin K does not detox you necessarily. Like, is it going to help? Was it working while they took it for 1 year? Yes, it was helping. Okay, great. Did it fix the root cause of the problem? Not really. And that's why it returned to near the baseline level. It was still better. It was probably still better after 2 years of treatment, but it didn't hold because the toxicity wasn't being addressed. Okay. However, bone mineral density continued to be significantly higher in the treated group than in a control group throughout the entire study period. Like they said, it was still higher than the baseline after 2 years. So their bone mineral density was still higher than the control group who got no vitamin K. Habu et al. Wait, get out of here. There we go. Habu et al. Reported that MK4 may have a protective role in the prevention of hepatocellular carcinoma, liver cancer, in women with viral cirrhosis. Why do these all go together? Because it's all toxicity. In this study, 45 milligrams a day of MK4 was administered to the treatment group to prevent bone loss. In 2004, Otsuka et al. Demonstrated that a high dose of MK4 inhibits the growth and invasiveness of hepatocellular carcinoma cells, that's liver cancer, by pKa activation. The authors showed that after subcutaneous, under the skin tumor formation, vitamin K2 treatment prevented body weight loss, and the size of the tumors was smaller in MK4 treated mice than in the control mice. So vitamin K is helping with liver toxicity. It's helping for sure. Let me see. Okay. Conclusions. At the same time, several points of experimental evidence indicate that vitamin K plays an important role in reducing the severity of cholestatic liver disease and the risk of mortality. That's the risk of dying, as we have summarized in figure 3, and that there is no harm reported in the vitamin K treatment. Therefore, vitamin K treatment would be suggested for liver failure, particularly in cholestatic liver disease. What's that one little thing that doctors are all supposed to follow? The whole first do no harm. How many hepatologists out there do you think are giving vitamin K? That was not a joke, but it is kind of a joke. Okay, how many hepatologists do you think are giving vitamin K? Probably maybe a handful of them. We're saying here in the research now, I just told you, some people don't get along with it. Rarely. But we have all this other research saying it doesn't cause any problems. Isn't that first do no harm? But it could really help. This is the state of medicine today, folks. It's a joke. I think that was it for this one. Yep. Okay. Wait, which one was this one? I forgot what the title was of this one. The role of vitamin K. Okay, got it. Okay. Now, again, I wanted to hit on warfarin real quick here. If somebody is vitamin K deficient, they will bleed more easily. They will not stop bleeding as well. So, warfarin causes an effective vitamin K deficiency. So, anything that warfarin causes can be associated with a vitamin K deficiency, can also be associated with a vitamin A toxicity. Association of mortality or risk of death among trauma patients taking pre-injury direct oral anticoagulants. These are not the vitamin K antagonists versus the vitamin K antagonists. So these don't affect vitamin K. Conclusion: pre-injury antiplatelet and or warfarin use was associated with an increased risk of death after traumatic injury. Pre-injury direct oral anticoagulant use was not associated with a statistically increased risk of adverse outcomes. You don't want to be running around with a vitamin K deficiency, and you don't want to be running around with vitamin A toxicity. Simple as that. Now, somebody just asked, some doctors say you need 45 milligrams of MK4. What is my opinion? Well, I'm not going to just give you my opinion. I'm going to go into the research on it. And then, was that all I needed to go over on that one? I think that was it. Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to go over so Joe, go back to this one. There's all these papers about vitamin K antagonists and trauma and bleeding. So that here, comparison of direct oral anticoagulant and vitamin K antagonists on outcomes among elderly and non-elderly trauma patients. Let me just tell you first, the vitamin K antagonists always come out worse. Association of intracerebral brain hemorrhage among patients taking non-vitamin K antagonists versus vitamin K antagonist oral anticoagulants with in-hospital mortality. Warfarin is rat poison for a good reason. We don't take rat poison warfarin. We don't take rat poison D3. Now let's hit on one more about cholestasis. I just thought I'd hit on this. Emergency use of intravenous IV phytonadione, vitamin K1, for treatment of severe bleeding in a child with chronic cholestasis. Child has cholestasis. How toxic is this kid? We present a 5-year-old boy with multiple hematomas, bruises, associated with chronic cholestasis. A week before admission, he suffered minor trauma at daycare. The next day, he complained of trunk and limb pain. An orthopedic consultation, including leg x-rays, revealed no abnormality, so nothing was broken. Over the next 5 days, multiple hematomas developed over his body and increased in size. So again, if you're having bruises show up, but you don't know how you got them and they just seem to get worse, then vitamin K deficiency is a big thing. In the emergency room, he was in pain and looked sick but alert. He had fever and tachycardia. What causes fever? Excess bile in the blood. With normal blood pressure and respiratory status and physical examination showed several hematomas on the legs, which increased in size during observation in the emergency department over 2 hours. I'm trying to figure out how many days later this was. Anyway, blood work revealed multiple coagulation abnormalities, and INR was 12. Intravenous phytonadione was immediately administered with normalization of coagulation abnormalities within 1 hour, and the hematomas stopped growing in size. With severe abnormal bleeding and hepatic disease, intravenous vitamin K1 may be life-saving even before obtaining confirmatory blood work, fresh flow frozen plasma, or blood transfusion. Kid was leaking bile like crazy into his blood, and vitamin K helped. Okay. High dose versus low dose vitamin K. Aaron says, Dr. Russell Jaffe says that vitamin K1 is much more important than vitamin K2. What do I think about it? I'm going to guess that Russell Jaffe is probably a proponent of a more vegetarian or plant-based diet. When I look at these things, there's benefits to both. So why would I have to pick? So I didn't. So in my supplement, I put MK4 and K1. I don't do a lot of the kind of the mental masturbation thing that a lot of people do, where they're just like, well, if you had to pick one, I don't have to pick one. So why am I worried about that? That doesn't come up. Like, and if somebody wants to say, well, this one's more important than that one, well, okay, in a fight, like, you have two fists, you have your right and your left. Do you want to use both of them? Yeah, it's a lot better to have both of them than to just pick one. So, I don't do the mental masturbation games that a lot of other practitioners do. Okay. Low dose vitamin K2, MK4 supplementation for 12 months improves bone metabolism and prevents forearm bone loss in postmenopausal Japanese women. Low dose. They already know about this. Menaquinone 4, MK4, administered at a pharmacological dose. Pharmacological dosage. Drug dose of 45 milligrams a day has been used for the treatment of osteoporosis in Japan. However, it is not known whether a lower dose of MK4 supplementation is beneficial for bone health in healthy postmenopausal women. The aim of this study was to examine the long-term effects of 1.5 milligrams, not 45, 1.5 milligrams daily supplementation of MK4 on the various markers of bone turnover and bone mineral density. The study was performed as a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial. The participants, aged 50 to 65, were randomly assigned to one of two groups according to the MK4 dose received, the placebo control group and the 1.5 milligram MK4 group. The baseline concentrations of undercarboxylated osteocalcin were high in both groups, so they were both having vitamin K issues, in theory. After 6 and 12 months, the serum UCOC concentrations were significantly lower in the MK4 group than in the control group. So the MK4 is working at 1.5 milligrams. In the control group, there was no significant change in serum pentosodine concentration. So they're saying this didn't help the vitamin K status. It didn't change. However, in the MK4 group, the concentration of pentosodine at 6 and 12 months was significantly lower than at baseline. The forearm bone mineral density was significantly lower after 12 months than at 6 months in the control group. So the control group continued to get worse. They did not get the vitamin K. However, there was no significant decrease in bone mineral density in the MK4 group during the study period. These results suggest that low-dose MK4 supplementation for 6 to 12 months improved bone quality in the postmenopausal Japanese women by decreasing the serum UCOC and pentosodine concentrations, again, without any substantial adverse effects. So that's one. That's just a 1.5 milligram study. We have another one. Maximal dose response of vitamin K2, MK4, on undercarboxylated osteocalcin in women with osteoporosis. So they compared 9-week open-labeled prospective cohort study, 29 postmenopausal women who suffered they've already got fractures, who suffered hip or vertebral compression fractures. They either got low-dose MK4, 0.5 milligram for 3 weeks, then medium dose MK4 for 3 weeks, then high dose MK4 for 3 weeks. Compared to 5 milligrams a day, there was no additional benefit of 45 milligrams a day. Compared to 5 milligrams a day, there was no additional benefit of 45 milligrams a day. MK4 supplementation resulted in borderline increases in gamma carboxylated osteocalcin. There were no major side effects of MK4 supplementation. In postmenopausal with osteoporotic fractures, supplementation with either 5 or 45 milligrams a day of MK4 reduces UCOC to concentrations typical of healthy premenopausal women. Do you need to take 45 milligrams a day? Apparently not. Okay, Joe says his lights are flickering, so if I lose Joe, if I lose Joe's help, it's because he's got a storm, and I'll try to share the screen myself. Now I wanted to go over that testosterone study. So I have a whole video here about testosterone, my testosterone. And I have a whole big thread on testosterone on Twitter. And we have guys like getting their total testosterone up around in the 900s or over 1,000. The guys who have been doing this a long time are getting this regularly. Okay. Again, they're going to supplement with vitamin K here, and it helps testosterone production. However, reducing vitamin A toxicity increases your vitamin K status and also improves testosterone production. So that's how, again, this all connects. MK4 enhances testosterone production in rats and testes-derived tumor cells. So they're doing both in vivo, in the whole animal, and in vitro. 8-week-old male Wistar rats were fed a diet supplemented with MK4, one of the predominant K2 vitamins present in the testes. Hey, wait, MK4 is the predominant form in the brain, and it's the predominant form in the testes. 4 or 5 weeks. In vivo, in the whole animal, testosterone levels of the rat's plasma and testes were measured by enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. And in vitro, so this is the Petri dish, testosterone levels of testes-derived tumor cells maintained in hams F10 medium with 10% fetal bovine serum were measured following treatment with MK4 at several time points. We're not that interested in the Petri dish stuff. Testosterone levels in the plasma and testes of MK4 rats, MK4-fed rats, were significantly increased compared to those of control rats, with no obvious differences in plasma luteinizing hormone levels. Okay, so the luteinizing hormone, which is the stimulant from your pituitary to your testicles, guys, the LH, it stayed the same. The testes made more testosterone. This means the testes were producing more testosterone. They didn't need more signal. They were being more efficient with the signal that they got. Secreted testosterone levels from I-10 cells were elevated by MK4, but not by vitamin K1. Okay. In a dose-dependent manner, independent of CAMP treatment. So K1 didn't do it, but MK4 did. Okay. MK4 stimulates testosterone production in rats and testes-derived tumor cells via activation of PKA. MK4 may be involved in steroidogenesis, as in creation of steroid hormones in the testes, and its supplementation could reverse the downregulation of testosterone production in elders. They're talking about older adults. And I think this will be the last thing we'll wrap it up with. Gosh, we're already at noon. I knew this was going to have to be a two-parter. If I was going to do 2 parts. I don't know that I'm going to do 2 parts. So we went over these other things, and I may go over the top 10 causes of disease in the US and how it all connects to vitamin K, maybe. Next week, I think we're going to do niacin. Kelsey and I'll be up in Idaho, and Kelsey and I think are going to try to do a niacin show where we're going to connect flush niacin, nicotinic acid, with the top 10 causes of disease in this country. So here's the paper. Vitamin K status, cardiovascular disease, and all-cause mortality. Death from all causes, risk of death from all causes. A participant-level meta-analysis of 3 U.S. cohorts. Low circulating phyloquinone, that's K1, concentrations were associated with an increased risk of all-cause mortality. Low K1 in the blood was associated with a higher risk of dying from any and all causes. That was all I wanted to hit on that one. So that's all for that. Joe, if you want to take off the share, I'm going to get, okay, so I'm going to get to the super chats, and that's, don't send any more super chats. Don't send any more super chats. If we do, I'll have to move them to next week. So I'm going to hit the ones that we already have, and then I got to get to my inner circle. So let's see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any. From Gardner3333, thank you very much for the super chat. What would I do if I had a 3.3 by 2 millimeter patch of subungual melanoma under a toenail? Thank you. Well, due to legal concerns and the fact that I am not your physician, giving advice on cancer conditions via YouTube is really not going to be something I'm going to get into. Now, if someone had a topical, if I was dealing with a superficial skin cancer, there is a place, you may want to, I'm going to say it backwards, .org herb healers. And you could go there and they might have something, again, backwards. They might have something salve Amazon. And you could read their instructions and you could consider applying it. I personally used their products. I used the topical one, the salve. I did not take any of the oral stuff, but I had what I believe, well, it was, I had a lumpy spot right here that was actually sending like electrical zingers at times. And I looked stuff up. This was back in my probably late 20s, early 30s. This was before low vitamin A. And I was kind of, because I looked that up and they said, that's probably cancer. I was like, oh, shit. I did not want to go and do the whole dermatologist thing and do all that stuff. So I had heard about certain things. Well, there was a product out there. First part of it was CAN, and then the last part of it was SEMA, and that was an old salve that people used on topical things of this nature. The company that I mentioned earlier, the .org, they actually apparently had to move to South America because they were getting hassled so much here by the FDA because it was working. And I ordered that. They've renamed their products, and I ordered it and I applied it once, and I got the first time it didn't quite take, and then I had to rough it up a little bit with like an exfoliator, just like a scrubby thing. You're not trying to make it bleed. You're just trying to exfoliate it a little bit. You're just trying to open it up a little bit. And then I applied it again, and I got the sensation there, the tingling sensation, which they said means that it's taking, and this is what you think it is. This is the big C. And over the course of something like a week, the salve incorporated itself, and eventually it turned dark greenish, and it fell off like a scab, and I had a little divot there, and I had nice, fresh, pink, baby butt looking skin underneath it, and it filled out. It's gone. So, if I had a situation with a topical big C, that is what I would do. Again, obviously, subungual, you're going to have to get to it. That's going to be, you got to get the stuff to it. How you go about that is, but like I said, I do not use their oral stuff. I do not use the oral herbs. I just use the topical for topical stuff. So that is that. Okay. Thank you for that super chat. JDS. Could 0% fat Greek yogurt be a low vitamin A protein source for those who struggle with iron or meat digestion, recovering from carnivore? It's possible. I mean, the thing that we have in the research is that both casein, however you want to pronounce it, and whey have vitamin A in their structure. It's inside of them. I've shown this research. I think I have a whole video on it, like dairy, and I think Joe, I might have a video on dairy here. So you're not, is taking the fat out going to make it lower in vitamin A? Yes. But dairy is basically, I mean, the proteins are full of vitamin A and the fats are full of vitamin A, and it's not, but if you had to have something that you tolerated, the other thing that I'm going to say, folks, if you're using collagen or gelatin as a protein source, or you're using bone broth, you need to be putting charcoal in there to soak up the copper. The amount of copper in, let me go find that link. Let me go find that link. Kelsey found this. She's so helpful. So this is dry powder gelatin. When you go down here and you look at copper, let me find it. And you start totaling up this amount. And you go and you compare it to dark chocolate. It is absolutely on the same level as dark chocolate. Gelatin, gram for gram, is on par based on this analysis with chocolate, which would mean collagen is as well. So if you are going to mess around with gelatin or copper, you better take it with some sort of binder like charcoal. Okay? So I wanted to bring that up. So that's the thing about dry powder gelatin right here. Because other people will look it up online. I mean, Kelsey had a heck of a time finding this much about it. It was hard to find anyway. But I'm going to tell you that, like, if you're addicted to chocolate and you're trying to do this, you're taking in so much copper from that chocolate that you're going to undo a lot of the good you're trying to do. Like, chocolate is just, there's a reason chocolate's so addictive. Healthy things are not addictive. Chocolate is addictive. Chocolate's not good for you. There's all sorts of things in it that make it addictive. It's not just the like love peptides or whatever the heck is in it. I don't care. So I think that was about that one. Let me just double check. That was, so could you use it? Sure. Okay. This is a very important thing. Okay. We had a woman who was doing the program and she was really sick and she could only eat like 3 things. She could eat some meat and she could eat dried mangoes or mangoes in general. She could eat meat and mangoes. And I forget what the other thing was she could eat. And she was like, I'm having trouble getting enough calories. I talked about this story before. She comes on the Love Your Liver Network. Everybody in the Love Your Liver Network is like, the first thing they say, she says, this is all I can eat. And everybody goes, you got to stop eating the mangoes. You got to stop eating the mangoes. You got to stop eating the mangoes. And I came on and I said, no, you need to not starve. Starving is a guaranteed way to bad health. So I said, you're going to do as best you can to eat whatever the mango is that you need. Like this was all she tolerated. I said, eat whatever you need and do the rest of the stuff as well as you can. And eventually you'll be able to increase the types of other foods that you're able to eat. And you'll be able to eat less mangoes. And eventually you'll be able to get rid of them. Guess what happened? That's exactly what happened. So let's say, JDS, if you're like, look, this is the only thing I can eat. You're recovering from carnivore and maybe you're not tolerating like iron or meat or whatever because you kind of overloaded your system. I mean, first of all, you could do some chicken breast. Now, remember, those of you who are doing tons of chicken breast, you're going to probably have to add a bit of fat to your diet because chicken breast is just so low in fat. But if it was iron, you could do chicken breast, or you could do, even some collagen or gelatin. But like I said, if you're going to do collagen or gelatin, you got to take it with some sort of binder. You gotta, or bone broth. So could you use it? Yes. The goal would be to minimal effective dose. So if you need to get enough protein, you're trying, the Greek protein would be like, let's say, I mean, you gotta get enough protein to detox. So if you had to use it, it is something you could use. Make sure it's not vitamin A and D fortified. That would be very, very important. Right. Oh, Joe's saying black Jello. Yeah. Yep. So there's not a lot of protein sources. Oh my gosh, you guys, Liver King just got absolutely exposed. Like the stuff he was selling for supplements doesn't have in it what it says it has in it. Like almost everything on their label is apparently, from what I have heard, not true. Now, the crazy thing is Saladino and Brian Johnson, the Liver King, are business partners in the organ meat supplement world. So that's going to be very, very interesting. But the Liver King has absolutely another time been kicked in the butt because he's kind of a scammer. He's a scammer to heart. Scammers are liars, and boy, they sure do like their organ meats. Anyway, yeah. So Debbie, I think this is the last. No, we got. Yeah, I'll answer Mohammed's question. Debbie asks, what would you do if you had kidney stones? Is it possible to dissolve existing stones? What are my thoughts on lithotripsy? Lithotripsy is an option. Lithotripsy is an option. If I had kidney stones, well, the first thing I would do is reduce the vitamin A in my diet. I would not be taking, so all those things I went over earlier. Low vitamin A diet, no vitamin D supplements, sunlight or UVB and UVA, 2 tolerance, lots of topical magnesium. The magnesium is going to be what would really dissolve the stones. If you were going to take oral magnesium, I would do probably something like the Natural Vitality Calm powder, the plain one, which is magnesium citrate. Don't use preformed pills of magnesium citrate. The magnesium citrate doesn't dissociate well, so you get magnesium citrate in there, but you're not getting what you want is the magnesium and the citrate to break apart, and then the citrate is the citric acid, which helps dissolve the stones, and so does the magnesium. So if you were going to take oral magnesium to help you poop, let's say, I would try to do the calm. There's other versions. There's other same formulas. I think I have a couple on my Amazon list. You find my link tree, and that takes you to the Amazon list. So if I was going to take potassium supplementally, I might take potassium citrate because the citrate can help dissolve that. Then there would be, if you want to have the juice of a lemon or 2 in water a day, don't take straight lemon juice. It's not good for your teeth. But if you wanted to do the juice of a lemon or 2 a day, that would also help. Could you do lime? Sure. Lemon probably just works better. And then, if you wanted to do some research on, so those are the most important things to do. If you want to do some research on an herb called Chanca piedra, Chanca piedra, Chanca piedra, it's also known as stonebreaker. That is one herb that I am looking more deeply into. And if you go, the one I like so far, from what I have seen and heard, is a brand called Blue Organics. You can find them on Amazon. Now, you guys know I've just been hearing about Amazon having all sorts of counterfeit products and all that stuff. Here's how you avoid the counterfeit products. You find the Amazon store from the manufacturer. And you don't automatically look for the cheapest price, right? Because that'll be the fake ones. So if I was going to get, like, let's say Thorne vitamin K2 drops, if I wanted to buy it off Amazon, I would look for the Thorne store, and that would be the only place I would buy it from. Okay? Don't just go to a cheaper store just because it's cheaper, because you may be getting cheap Chinese crap that is toxic. So if you're going to buy something, a supplement on Amazon, you must go to the seller's, the actual manufacturer's Amazon store, and they may or may not have one. So that is that. Joe, I didn't see so it's just that's the kidney stones one. That's what I would do for that. And just follow, if I was taking the Blue Organics Chanca piedra, I would just follow the label instructions, which I believe is 1 dropper full 3 times a day. And I would probably plan on 2 bottles of it. So there's that. Sergio Homoni says Paul Saladino is a scammer too. Well, I'm not going to say that. And I'm not so sure. I think his intentions are good. I think his execution is poor. I think whoever runs his Heart and Soil Supplements Twitter is kind of a dick. So anyway, yeah, Jackie K was saying she dissolved a few stones, evidenced on ultrasound by using lemon and water daily with a straw, passed quite a few. Yeah. So if you're going to do the lemon, if you want to do lemon juice and water, like you can, if you want to drink it with a straw so you get it past your teeth, so it's not causing you teeth issues from the acidity, or if you just dilute it enough, that should be less of an issue. And then if you're going to do any other supplements that are acidic, let's say like nicotinic acid, flush niacin, make sure it's buffered. And we talk about the buffering in the Love Your Liver program. So I think Muhammad asked, do I ship outside the USA to Saudi Arabia or India? You would want to email or use the contact us page on nutritiondetective.com. So go to the contact us page and send your request. And Julie is in charge of all the shipping, and she will just, do we ship everywhere in the world? Yes. Do people often go, well, I don't want to pay that much in shipping and I don't want to pay the customs fees? And then we go, that's not our problem. Can you pay what is necessary to pay to get our stuff just about anywhere in the world? Yes. Now, we also do not do refunds. If customs decides to seize the package, like we're not giving a refund for that. That doesn't make any sense. Why do we ship it and then we get penalized because of something we didn't do? So shipping to other countries, you're going to pay whatever the shipping is. You're going to pay whatever the customs thing is. And you're going to deal with whatever customs decides to do with it. Once it's out of our hands and it's going international, it's out of our hands. But do we ship internationally? Yes. Are we trying to find ways of making this better and less expensive and hopefully using companies that are more trusted by other countries' customs? Yes. But as of right now, it's done basically one at a time. You would contact Julie and through the contact us form, and she would give you the amount. So yes, do we? Yes, absolutely. Okay. I just saw a thread on Twitter, just for those of you who are trying to do peptides and stuff. I saw a guy on Twitter who was saying he has like proof that pretty much nearly every single peptides company out there is problematic. Who knows if it's just marketing for the one peptide company that he found was okay, but y'all peptides, like all these injectable peptides and nasal peptides and whatever, can they work? Sure. Should you be expecting a peptide to fix all your problems? Should you be expecting something for nothing, which is really what peptides are? Oh, I'm just going to take this pill. Oh, I'm just going to squirt this up my nose. Oh, I'm just going to inject this peptide and it's going to fix all my problems. Remember the study about the women who took the 45 micrograms of MK4 for a year and their bone density stuff got better. And then at the end of 2 years, they were almost right back to where they started. They didn't detox. They just did the vitamin K, which could help detox a little bit, like we said, but something for nothing. If you're expecting something for nothing, if you just want to get healthy without any work, or you just want to inject or take a pill or squirt it up your nose, it may work for a little bit. And then it will stop working, just like hormone therapies. They work for a while until all of a sudden your doctor has to up your dose. And then it never works quite as well again. You're always chasing the dragon. You're going after that first effect, and it doesn't ever come that way again, because the whole time, if you didn't fix the toxicity intake and the deficiencies, those have both likely been getting worse because you're still doing the same stuff that got you into that position in the first place. So, okay. So, yeah, I got to get going to the inner circle right now. So we had another 2-hour barn burner. Hope you all enjoyed that. Come back next time with your super chats or your questions, and we will get to it next time. I'm just out of time today. So hope you all got something out of that. Again, so yeah, let me hit the links. Joe's doing the Rumble. That's our Rumble channel. Okay, so for those of you who wanted to know where episode 199 went, it's not going to be on YouTube. Or was it 198? I think it's 199. 199 is not going to be here ever on YouTube. 199 you can find on Rumble. That's our Rumble channel right there. Okay. 200, I want to say on episode 200, Beth Martins graciously hosted us. So if you guys were wondering why didn't it show up on the day when it was recorded, well, because I was still in jail, in YouTube jail, not real jail, YouTube jail, and I couldn't post for a week. So that's why it didn't show up until later. And Beth still has she wanted to keep up the episode on her channel, so we still have that there. So support her, subscribe to her. We like Beth a lot, and she is a huge fan of our work. Next week I'll be in Idaho. Kelsey and I will be doing the live stream together. I don't know if we're going to do a Q&A or a flush niacin one. Joe put up my Twitter handle at NutriDetect on X. If you go on Twitter or X and you want to see the main stuff I did there, go on my profile and go to the pinned thread of threads. So it is a thread of threads, and you can read all the big ones I've done there. Lots of the videos here have been built on those, or those have been built from the videos. So then we have, what else do we have? The Love Your Liver program. If you want to do the Love Your Liver program, that is my do-it-yourself program. Do it yourself. You are not getting access to me or the health facilitators. It is a do-it-yourself program. There's over 2,000 people in there who are active and posting, and it's like social media like it was supposed to be. It's like Facebook if Facebook was actually helpful and didn't have so many nasty people on it. So anyway, but that's a do-it-yourself program. That's a one-time fee of $200 or $199, whatever. And then, you can get all of my life's work in one place instead of having to try to snag it all through these little live streams. Then if you want to work with any of my health facilitators, that link is on the nutritiondetective.com website under consultations. That's where you get the blood testing, the hair testing, the consult, and then you get 6 months of access to office hours, which is where you can access me for troubleshooting. Each of the facilitators has their own session a week. I have a session too. So even if you work with a different facilitator, you can still come to my office hours and ask me questions there. So you still get access to me there. And you get access to the Love Your Liver program for life as a package, as a testing and consultation package person too. So you can also find the Love Your Liver program under the membership tab on nutritiondetective.com. And then if you want to get our vitamin K supplement that we've been talking about today, that's at the store. That there's the normal priced version at the normal store, the shop. And then if you join the Love Your Liver program, you get access to the VIP store where you get discounts on all our supplements. And we have other supplements for sale in there that we can't put up on the normal internet. So that's where like the Thorne vitamin K2 is in that VIP store if you wanted to get that. So, oh yeah, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe and the follow and all that stuff. Yeah. And this was the All About Vitamin K episode. Hope you all enjoyed that. Just don't overthink it. If you're doing the low vitamin A program, am I saying you have to take vitamin K? No. It's kind of like lactoferrin. We had a whole lactoferrin episode. Do you have to take lactoferrin to get better? No. Do you have to take vitamin K to get better? No. Do you need to do a low vitamin A diet as part of it to get better? Yes. If you wanted to add these things, we have symptoms that kind of indicate it. And if you want to try them and see if they help you feel better, that's great. Our goal over time is that you get so much better that you either don't need them or you decide to keep taking them just because they make you feel even better than normal. So that is what we got. Aaron's saying try to put them on iHerb. Well, if you know anybody at iHerb, this I'm just throwing this out there for anybody who listens. If you know anybody who would contact at iHerb who does their supplement distribution, like instead of me just sending them a little contact us thing through their page like some other joker off the street, if you know anybody who works there, let me know. Otherwise, it seems kind of a pain to get in there, or like they would want to approach me instead of me approaching them. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you. I'm glad, Joe, you made it through the storm and we finished the episode, and I will see you all next time. Have a great week. Bye now.